straight.
And then she's going to correct me, and then it's going to be wrong info and bad retractions. So instead, I asked her to come on the podcast, and I would like to introduce to you my favorite in-law of all time, my sister-in-law, Charlene. Hi, Charlene.
Hi, Kenny.
How are you?
Hi, Charlene.
Good. Hi.
So, first of all, thank you for saving my life many years ago when I had a heart attack, and you told me, I called you because you're in the business. You work in cardiology, and you were at, at Abbott Northwestern?
Yep.
Yeah. So I thought I was having a panic attack, Amy, and I thought, well, I'm going to just sit in this chair for an hour, and if I feel the same in an hour, I'll call Charlene.
If I'm dead, I'll know I was wrong.
So an hour later, I still felt bad. My arm was numb. I was sweaty. I couldn't catch my breath.
That's a classic sign.
Oh, no, that's a panic attack. So I called Charlene, and she said, call 911. So
Thank God,
instead
Charlene.
of doing that, I jumped in my truck and I drove myself to the hospital.
The hospital that in rural America is probably an hour and a half away.
It was in South Minneapolis. So I drove myself to Abbott.
Here. Gotcha.
Yeah, I drove myself to Abbott. I walked in and they go, "Can we help you?" And here's a tip: if you want to get helped really quick at a hospital, an emergency room, point to your heart and say, "I think I'm having a heart attack." 30 seconds later, I was.
I bet that gets you the head of the line. Yeah. Charlene, I am so glad you joined us, and thank you for doing so.
Thank you.
But tell us, because Kenny gave me his version, which I don't put any stock in at all. Tell us, first of all, when did this incident happen?
It happened last Wednesday when I was flying from Seattle into the Minneapolis for a family reunion.
Okay.
There was a family on board. They were also flying into Minneapolis. They had a wedding that they were going to in Wisconsin. And one of the ladies, she was a little bit older lady, her granddaughter turned around to say something to Grandma and noticed that there was something wrong. So she called her mom over, and her mom put on the call light for the flight attendants. Flight attendants came up, and it was this row right above me, so I could kind of see the commotion. So I got up and I just said, I'm a nurse. Can I help? And so she, moved out of the way, and I moved in, and I checked. The woman looked like she was not alive. So I checked her pulse, and there was no pulse. After kind of shaking her and calling her name. And
Charlene, were her eyes open?
Her eyes were open, and her mouth was open.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of staring straight ahead.
Wow.
Oh. So if her eyes were closed, you would think that she's just asleep. But
right. Yeah.
She definitely, honestly, she looked dead. And she was. So I checked, no pulse. I gave her like a cardiac thumb. There was no response. Checked the pulse again. And then I heard this guy coming behind me going, move out of my way, move out of my way. So I, backed up thinking it was a doctor or something because, that's kind of their demeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he checked, no pulse. So he yelled for an AED to the flight attendants. And then I turned to the other flight attendant, and I'm like, we need to divert the plane right now. So they kind of ran down the other end, and then we laid the lady down.
In the aisle, Charlene, or in the seats?
We couldn't get her into the aisle. It was just, she was on the heavier side, and it just wasn't happening, and we needed to get CPR started. So I just I started CPR, and honestly, right away, and this usually doesn't happen, but right away, as soon as I did like the first compression, I just pressed down really hard. So, by the way, when you're giving CPR, just press as hard as you can, and don't worry about breaking anything, because you want to save their life. And if you don't push, like give a super hard compression, you're not going to get blood to the brain. So anyway, I pushed down really hard. I could feel her ribs breaking. But then she gave a gasp, and she went, so then, we checked again for a pulse, and she actually had a pulse.
Wow.
And then, so the guy who had moved me out of the way, he's like, "Hey, by the way, my name's John. I'm a trauma nurse." And I'm like, "I'm Charlene. I'm a cardiac nurse." And then this
Wow.
other woman from the aisle comes up the aisle, and she's like, "I'm Deb. I'm a neuro ICU nurse." And then they asked the
Wow.
flight attendant for an ambu bag. So Deb started bagging her.
Explain that. What is that, Charlene?
Sorry. That means putting a mask over the face with oxygen going to the mask, and then squeezing. You probably see
Oh.
that
Gotcha.
where you
Oh,
just kind of
sure.
squeeze it.
Yeah.
So she wasn't really breathing real well or at all, and her pulse just kind of kept fading in and out. So. We got the AED on, but it's like every time we'd go to shock her, her pulse would come back. So we ended up never shocking her.
Oh.
And then we started we were going to start an IV, so we're just getting all the equipment together. But then she started getting sick, so she was just throwing up.
Sure.
Throwing up. So you couldn't really start an IV because you couldn't roll her over flat to
So,
get a good vein.
Charlene, at this point, is she laying in the seats or
She was
sitting?
laying in a seat, so no, laying down. So we had
Okay.
laid her down in the seat. So
Okay.
her head was at the aisle,
All right.
and then she was just kind of scrunched up the rest of the way.
Okay, so like her feet were by the window.
Feet were by
Gotcha.
the window. Yes. So we were just turn her head to the side. And after a little bit, she did start breathing on her own. So then we just gave her oxygen. And, she was just very pale and sweaty, and you knew that she still wasn't right. And she wasn't coming to at all. But she did seem like she was alive, and we had the oxygen going, but it seemed like she was having a heart attack. And she was really, really sick to her stomach.
Well, can I translate? What Charlene just actually said was she was barfing all over me continually, nonstop.
Wow.
She was.
Yeah.
Pretty nonstop for quite some time.
Wow.
So you just had to this is gross, but you just had to
Wipe it away and move on.
sweep the vomit out of her mouth.
Sure,
Oh.
because it's an obstruction.
Right. So we just turned her on her side, let her throw up, and then just swept her mouth, swept all the vomit out of her mouth, and went on. Yeah. So let's see.
So let me ask you, I'm sorry, Kenny.
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked the pilot and the crew to divert. Now,
Yes.
when somebody does that, I assume that, and I shouldn't, when a medical person with medical training like yourself or the other two that were there says that to a pilot, is there protocol for that? What they do with that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
That's a good question. I do know that there was and apparently Alaska Airlines is the best. This is after the fact. So Jonathan, who is the nurse, is actually a trauma nurse, and he teaches advanced cardiac life support, and he actually set up the trauma system within the state of California. So he's super knowledgeable. And I talked to him later on, and he said that Alaska Airlines is the best equipped of all the airlines. They have a full kit. I mean, they had everything in there, all the IV solutions, the IV tubing, oxygen, ambu bag, the AED, and they also have a doctor that they can contact. So one of the flight attendants was talking to a doctor on the phone, and then he was standing next to us, and we'd be giving him report and telling him what's going on, and then he would relay that to the doctor. So
How long between when you asked them to divert, if you have any sense of it, because you were a little busy, between you said divert and you landing?
Yeah, I have no sense of it whatsoever, but I was told later that we actually did a sharp U-turn and had to fly back to Missoula, and it was about 45 minutes.
That's
Oh, wow.
fast.
it was a really long 45 minutes.
I bet. But
It
that's,
seemed-
I mean,
yeah.
surprisingly fast, don't you think, Kenny? But
It
that's,
seemed-
I mean,
yeah.
surprisingly fast, don't you think, Kenny, from a layman's point of view? To get a
yeah.
big plane like that down
I guess so, but I mean, if you're trying
in the
to
middle
keep
of Montana?
yeah, if you're trying to keep someone alive, I bet it felt like hours and
I
hours.
bet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Did anybody on the plane? Did you hear any noticeable groans? Like, oh Jesus, now what? Didn't hear any of
not at
that.
all.
Okay, so
No,
I
everybody
wasn't
was
on the
very
plane.
understanding. Matter of fact, there might have been some of that, but no, everybody was very understanding. And I mean, like when you're calling for an AED and starting CPR, and
Yeah.
everybody's like,
And
So-
an AED, just for people who aren't familiar.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Automatic, external defibrillator.
Gotcha.
So it's like where you put the pads on the person and then give them a shock.
So it's clear,
to get their
that
heart
one.
started.
Yeah. This Jonathan character, you told me that he had his own medical bag
Oh,
that
yeah,
he.
I forgot to tell you that part. Yes, it was awesome. So this has happened to him a few times because he flies all over, like for this trauma stuff, and so and it's happened to him before. So he started flying with the trauma kit. So he actually. And the other thing is, he happens to be the son-in-law of the woman.
Oh,
who
yeah.
had
We forgot to mention that.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's his mother-in-law.
It's his mother-in-law. Yes, so it's a very lucky mother-in-law. So he sent his wife up to the front of the plane to get the trauma kit. So he had all sorts of things in there, like a pulse oximeter, where you can look and see how well she was oxygenating and what her heart rate was, which was actually super, super helpful because we could see. Because her pulse was like so weird going in and out, but you could see that 93%. That's enough to keep her alive. So that was good. And then he had I don't even remember what else, but he had all sorts of stuff in there that we put to good use.
Is that a problem getting that through the TSA, or does he have some kind of special permit? How's that
That's
work?
good. I do not know the answer to that.
Yeah. Because I would guess,
Yep.
wouldn't there be cuttings like snippers? And
Yeah, he does. Oh, actually, I did ask him that because he does. He has trauma scissors that he carries,
yeah.
and a stethoscope. So
Okay.
he was listening to her lungs, and she had good lung sounds. But he said that he puts the trauma scissors right next to the stethoscope, and he said it's not. He has never had trouble getting it through the TSA.
Cool.
That's smart.
So
Yeah.
where was everybody? Where were you? Where was the doctor in relation to the patient laying on the seat? Were you next to her, at her head?
Yeah, and it actually wasn't a doctor; it was the trauma nurse.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the trauma nurse. Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, so Jonathan was at her feet. So he was, once we laid her down, so he was up against the window, and then actually when we landed, he was up. He had his knee on one side of her, and then he was standing on the floor to kind of brace her. And then he called his nephew over, and his nephew climbed over the seat and then stood on the floor so that she couldn't fall off there and kind of braced that. And then I kneeled on the ground next to her head and kind of protected her head as we were landing. And then there was the woman that was right next to me in the seat next to me just kind of braced me to keep me steady so that I didn't bounce around when we were landing.
So
Unbelievable.
you get on the ground, and is Missoula a big airport? I mean, do they have jetways, or you have to go right out on the tarmac?
I don't know because I didn't really pay attention to that part.
Were they there waiting for you?
They were there waiting for me. For us. When they landed, I mean, the paramedics were on the plane within minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, it's like we landed, and it felt like as soon as we stopped, they were on the plane, and they came in and worked on her a little bit, and then they needed to bring like a chair, one of those chair things in because they couldn't fit their gurney down the aisle.
Sure.
Okay,
So
sure.
put her in the chair and brought her out, and then cleaned up the plane.
What was that like after she left and you three were standing there sweaty, disheveled, and covered in puke? What was that mood like?
Well, okay, the first thing was I need to go wash my hands.
Sure.
So we all just went to the back bathrooms and washed up and got as much of the stuff off of us as we could. And then we were standing in the galley because, of course, they had to clean off the plane, and that's where our seats were. So the flight attendant, he was awesome. His name's Charles. He was great. And he was just like, whatever you want back here. We've got plenty of stuff, because we're asking for water because, you have so much adrenaline, and then, that starts to wear off, and then you're like so thirsty, and we're like downing glass after glass of water. And then he's like, well, do you want anything else,
Meaning would you like a shot of something?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, how about vodka cranberry?
Yeah, right. A vodka cran would be really nice right now.
Any comments from the passengers? Did they say anything to you?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. They gave us a big round of applause. Actually, when she was first time that she talked, I'm like, oh, she's speaking, and everybody started clapping. And then when she went off, they clapped again, and they were just kind of like, as they're walking back to our seats, they were just, patting me on the back, and that was so awesome.
Oh.
And, the flight attendant was, you saved a life today. I'm like, yeah, it was kind of cool.
It kind of reaffirms, this sounds so cliche, but I mean it. It kind of reaffirms sort of the notion that we are, in the end, all in this together.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and when the plane landed, the pilot said, the usual announcements, and then, we'd really like to thank all of the medical professionals that helped us out today. And then everybody just breaks into applause.
Oh, that makes me want to cry.
Oh, I know, me too. It felt really good. It was like,
well, that's talking about Samaritans. That's what's so cool, because with this stupid traffic job, I end up getting road rage watching the traffic, because every single one of you drive like idiots, and you all hate each other, and you're all trying to pass at each other and beat each other. And then something horrible happens, and you all turn into amazing citizens. It's really something to see.
It's like something, I guess, Charlene, and you would be more familiar than the rest of us, that we lose track of. I mean, this woman was on a flight with her family, correct? It was her and her son-in-law, correct?
Her son-in-law, yeah.
But there was, and we heard you mention nephew, but there was more.
There was, there was all sorts of them. I don't know exactly how many. There must have been like 10, 12 of them. This whole big family headed out to this wedding.
And you're just on a plane on your way to a wedding, and suddenly, here's the other thing that strikes me, Charlene, and I'd love to hear your take on it, and you too, Kenny. What are the odds that this person is having a heart attack, and you have a trauma nurse who has trained people in California? Yeah. They have Charlene and another medical professional surrounding her within a minute.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so, because we've all been trained in advanced cardiac support, so it was just amazing how well that training, even though it's been a while, it just clicks in, and you just kind of get into your roles, and, Jonathan took charge, and then, Deb and I were just working together. It was like we had worked together as a team, forever. It was
something
cool.
else. Does that make you really, value your training even more than you ever did?
Yes. Oh, yeah, very much so. Yeah. And I was like, I was really happy to know that it would just kick back in like that.
I have a very important question.
Meaning it's not going to be important.
None of this frivolous nonsense you two are talking about. What about your clothes and your hair and your face? And I'm sure you got puke in your ears.
Okay, why are you fixated on the puke?
What did you do about that? Because I'm a normal human. I bet you were just covered in barf. What did you do?
I cleaned it off as best I could, and then as soon as I got off the plane, I went in the bathroom and changed my clothes.
Because that's what normal humans do, Ken.
Yeah. But the smell of it all the way.
Hey, stop!
I really did a full surgeon scrub on my arms.
Okay. I mean, a woman's life was saved. I know the throwing up part is very important to you, Kenny.
And then, the other cool thing is the next day the daughter sent me a picture of the mom sitting up and with a big smile on her face.
Oh, my
and,
God.
Thank you so much for, the great care that you gave my mom. And, she was up, she was taking a shower.
So
there were
they
parts
didn't
we were gonna
have
do we were going to do the heart, the full heart workup, but she was doing great.
So they didn't have to crack her open or anything right away.
No.
Wow.
Her chest was kind of sore, but
you went to a race with the roommate and I earlier this summer,
Yes.
and I think it was only a week or so after the one you went to. We were at a race at Viking Speedway, and a guy pulled off the track after his heat race and had a heart attack and died in his car. And the medics there and everybody there ripped the roof off of his car, pulled him out, brought him back to life, hauled him to the hospital where they put him on a helicopter, flew him to St. Cloud. They cracked him open, and now he's walking around a month or two later saying, "When can I get back in my car?"
Oh, my God.
Oh, that is crazy.
But he was dead. I was told when he was dead in his car, and they were able to. And it's not a quick process ripping the roof off.
No,
of
I was
one of
just
those things.
as you were fixated on the
pretty
throwing
amazing.
up. How do you get a roof off a car?
Well, it's just a stock car, so it's a thin sheet of steel.
Okay,
but
but
you
did
have
they
to
have
cut
a-
it.
yeah.
You have to cut it off. So you're using a Sawzall or Jaws of Life or
I
something.
suppose at a racetrack they have that, right?
Yeah, and then shoulder belts, and then think about this: you're not pulling him out the window; you're lifting him straight up,
Oh, sure.
and then out, and then putting him on the ground. Evidently, somebody took his helmet off before they pulled him out, but they brought this guy back to life.
How old a guy?
My age, I'm thinking.
Okay.
50s.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Jeez. Now, Charlene, when you go to bed at night after something like that happens, I'm not suggesting it happens on a regular basis, but in this particular case, you get off of that flight, people are clapping as they should have and patting you on the back as they should have. But you go to bed at night. What are you thinking when you go to bed
I
that
didn't
night?
sleep. I didn't sleep all night.
Okay.
You just, everything just keeps replaying through your mind, replaying. And just the look of the woman. I mean, she was so dead. It was just right there in my face, which is actually why her daughter sent me that picture of her the next day.
That had to have an effect. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the whole thing, it was just like so dramatic that I just kept replaying it. It was, I had a hard time sleeping, but
Is there anything you guys did that you wish you would have done different, or something you forgot to do, or anything?
Jonathan was really good. By the way, last name Jones, Jonathan Jones. If anybody out there knows him,
Shout out, Jonathan.
Shout out for sure. So when we're in the back, he's like, okay, we need to debrief.
Right back in charge.
We do that after a podcast,
Yeah.
Amy and I do.
Yeah, we go, what did you think? I don't know. What did you think? I don't know.
Glad it's over.
See you later.
So we talked through everything, just kind of what went well, and it was crazy that we worked so well together. And so that was a really good thing. It was the supplies were a little hard. And it was
What do you
also
mean?
Because, Deb was on the floor, bagging her, and the supplies were on the other side of Deb, and I was getting all the supplies.
Yeah.
And so that was a little hard. So I'm like, I would have just grabbed the bag and made one of the other passengers hold it.
Sure.
And that's about it. Everything else went really super smoothly.
What I'm struck by when you say that is, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, probably because I have ADHD, but I would be like, whenever, whether you were talking about what you do for a living or especially the military or any of those things, I'd be like, oh my God, it's so rigid. And there's all these rules and you have to do the same thing over and over. It's so boring. And then, if anybody would have been around me with a brain in their head, they would have been like, shut up. Because the repetition, the training, the going over and over and over those things is, I think, Charlene, you tell me, you're the expert, is why when this happens in the moment, you're ready.
That's true. That is, no, you're absolutely right. It's like, and you go to the training and you're like, oh my gosh, how many times do I have to do this training again? You know, but you're right. Then it's right there on your brain. And
you know what, my analogy, and there's you're going to find out why I haven't brought it up, but this is what it reminds me of. All-star hockey games. Players that have never played together before can go out there and work like a well-oiled machine with almost no practice at all. And that's really amazing. Yeah.
It's quite literally muscle memory.
Yeah.
You know, you've done it so many times that it's like ingrained in you.
Can I have you for 5 more minutes, Charlene? I have a question for you.
Okay.
I want to talk about DennisKirk.com. I received an email this week wondering about these gas cans that I've been preaching about for years. Now, here's what you do. Go to DennisKirk.com, go to the search bar at the top of the landing page, then enter in VP Fuel Jug. These 5-gallon jugs, they come in a variety of colors. Be sure to order the hose kit with it. And now these containers, they're not government gas cans here. We're talking about the best gas cans ever made. They still have the screw top vent. They're made of very hard, thick plastic, and the rubber hoses will last forever. I currently have 9 of these. 3 for gas, 3 for diesel, 3 for mixed. And I promise you full satisfaction. Just remember, order that hose kit with it. And by the way, these hoses are thick, clear, pliable rubber. It makes it very easy to fill tanks with no spillage. And that's VP gas cans, just part of the 185,000 parts in stock at Dennis Kirk. If you need parts or accessories for your motorcycle, wheeler, side-by-side, or sled, DennisKirk.com is the place to go. Same-day shipping on orders placed before 6 p.m. and orders over $89 ship free. Don't worry about fitment. If you buy clothing or helmets, you get free returns on helmets and apparel. The official parts and accessory supplier to the CRABBY Coffee Shop is DennisKirk.com. Charlene, I'm very proud of and I've never showed you this, very proud of the first aid kit I keep in my pickup truck. Do you carry a first aid kit? And what do you think would be the most essential thing to have in a first aid kit?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask that one. I do not carry a first aid kit, although after this, I just might be carrying stuff on the plane.
Right.
What about your car?
It depends on if it's. I do have one in my car. It depends on if it's medical or if it's trauma. I mean, you want some basic trauma supplies, you know, like a big, large bandage, maybe a tourniquet. You want for medical, you know, having a stethoscope, having a pulse oximeter. That was super helpful.
By tourniquet, now, you and I had this conversation over the weekend, and I gave you the stink eye. By tourniquet, you just mean that rubber hose thing that they use to find a vein.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's easy to store. Here, what's in mine, and I'm very proud of this, is duct tape and 5 million steri strips. Because I'm always, and it's either me or one of my buddies, always about to bleed out. So we got to stop that blood flow before we do anything.
It's prepared for everything.
Yes.
And just because you don't have bandages, you can take a shirt off and rip that off. Oh, by the way, very sharp knife in my first aid kit just for that very purpose, ripping stuff up.
Well, and the first time I think that I saw something like this on television was a long time ago, but I remember distinctly when you said knife, Kenny, that whoever they were attending to, that they took a knife and just cut their clothes open.
Yep.
And I remember just being like, oh.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but I never thought of it.
When I was a kid and I was shot, that was the first thing the paramedics did. They got there and they just cut all my clothes off.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charlene, I can't thank you enough for sharing this story. I can't thank you enough on behalf of the world that you have training and that you were there and that you did what you did for this woman. It's beyond words.
Oh, thanks, Amy. Appreciate it.
Have a nice flight home, Charlene. It was really good seeing you.
Thank you. I hope
All
to have
right.
a nice, quiet flight home.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
I hope so.
See ya, I don't know, next summer maybe?
Yes.
We'll
Yes,
see.
yes.
All right.
Bye,
All right,
Charlene.
take care.
So,
I
isn't that
can't
something?
even. Again, being the kind of person that I am, I wouldn't say, especially in my youth, that discipline was a big part of my life. Or routine, or digging deeply into anything that required effort. That's
Right.
why I'm in radio.
Right.
But when people like that, I still am struck by this woman had a heart attack. She died. And if you've never seen it, you won't ever forget it. When you see somebody who died is dead,
Right.
it's just a sight. You know it when you see it, and you know what's going on, and you'll never forget it. But that they brought her back to life, and that there were 3 of them on this flight blows my mind.
And what I love is you establish dominance and a hierarchy. Yeah. Charlene was in charge until trauma nurse Jonathan got there.
Yeah.
He took over, and then they worked with him, and that's how it's supposed to work. And
again,
that's what I witnessed yesterday morning on the freeway.
And again, I think, Kenny, this is a big stretch for me to even make these statements because I don't know, but the military, police officers, fire departments, places like that have to have a hierarchy. And when I was a kid, as I said, I was always like, well, does somebody need to be more important than everyone else?
Yeah.
God, you're not the boss of me.
Right.
There's a reason for that. It's just exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you look at your young self, you're like, you want to go, God, shut up. But seriously, they fell into a protocol.
Yeah.
That got them through that without too much conversation.
She brought up something just ever so briefly today, and she did it when I first talked to her about this, about when Jonathan first stepped onto the scene, and he had that out of my way, I'm in charge attitude, and she thought, must be a doctor.
I thought that was super funny.
And I've been around these doctors and cardiologists, and that's how they are. Huge, huge egos, right? So last year, I thought I was having heart issues once again, and I asked them, and they volunteered to go in and check out the veins and arteries. And this time, I wasn't fully asleep. So I was laying there listening to this team in this operating room work together. And it was the most amazing thing I've ever heard, because not only are they doing their job and they're saying things I don't understand, but then they're also telling fart jokes and asking about last weekend. And it's like, you know what it is? It was like a scene out of MASH, where those idiot doctors are cracking jokes, but also doing very, very serious work. And that's what it was like. And when they finally finished up and I kind of regained my senses, I'm like, you know what? I am in awe of you people. It was really amazing. There had to be 7 of them in there.
That's crazy. It's so funny because I assume, I guess, that it's all business,
Yeah.
But again, they're very well trained.
Yeah.
It's not like they're screwing around. They know what they're doing.
So, question for you. Going to create a scenario.
Okay.
You happen upon a car upside down. It just happened 30 seconds ago. Maybe you witnessed it. Do you pull over? Do you rush to help?
Yeah.
Do you get involved?
I do. I'm not sure I would be very helpful, but yes, you have to.
And what do you do? What if the car is leaking gas and it might start on fire and the person is unconscious?
You know what? I think none of us know exactly what we would really do, but I think most of us have the same instinct. I think we'd try. I think we'd try to get them out.
Do you remember about a year, maybe more ago, a car crashed on the freeway, ended up on its side or something on the wrong side of a guardrail, and it was starting on fire, and folks couldn't get the car door open. Maybe it was still in drive, the doors were locked, and they were trying to break the window.
That's a nightmare.
And they were successful.
Okay.
They finally got the guy out. But ever since then, I now carry something to break windows.
The window
with.
breaker.
Yeah. So I've got toe straps, jumper cable, first aid kit, the window breaker, all of this stuff that I hope I never have to use, because I'm one of those idiots that will pull over and help. Even if you go in the ditch in the snowbank, I'm there in my big truck. Yeah, I'll pull you out. Let's go.
That's what I love about Minnesota and why I moved away from here for a while. I was in California. Don't recommend it. I lived in Vegas for a couple of years. Also don't recommend it. But I came back here, and one of the things I missed was guys like you with big giant beards and big giant trucks. That if you
beer
ran,
bellies.
and beer bellies, who if you ran off the road in the snow would be right behind you, going, "Don't worry, I'll get you out. We got you. We got you." Well, they wouldn't have a southern accent, but they would say, "We'll get you out."
A couple of years ago, my son and I are out riding, and some people who obviously had never ridden before had rented a sled, and it got away from them and got all tangled up in a barbed wire fence. And they were looking pretty helpless. So Ben and I pulled over, and it took some doing and some time, about 10, 15 minutes, but we got them out of there. And all they wanted to do was pay us.
Sure. That's because all we city people know how to do is shovel money.
We almost got in a fight because I'm like, no, this is how life works. You are in, you're in trouble and you need help, and here I am.
But you know what they were thinking? I guarantee you, because I fall into their camp. They were looking at you as you were saying something like that, and they were thinking, but I'm useless.
Yeah.
I'm useless. I can't do what you just did.
I think they actually, said that.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we didn't criticize them or anything. We just helped them out. And they were in trouble.
Well, and you know what? Also, I wanted to hark back to your spot that you were just doing for Dennis Kirk and the VP fuel jug.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard all of your spots. I know you've been a spokesperson for them for a really long time.
Yeah.
But the VP fuel jug, I'm assuming, is in place of whatever the godforsaken gas jugs are that are out there on the market. I cannot figure out how they work.
Right.
And I give up.
This is why I applaud you for buying a battery-powered lawnmower.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what it is.
But really, seriously, there are some gas cans out there.
Yeah.
The new ones.
Yeah.
Not the old metal ones,
right?
But the newer plastic ones.
Yeah.
I don't know brands, doesn't matter. Where there's some trick.
Yeah.
There's some trick on both the big spout and the little other thing.
Right.
The other spouty thing or turny thing. Where you have to have some sort of weird code or some kind of twist, turn, then push down and grab.
And if it's in a lawnmower, you've got gas all over the lawnmower, all over your grass, all over your hands, on your shoes. Right.
So I appreciate that somebody makes something straightforward.
I say government just because that's who I am, but it was probably, truthfully, lawyers.
Sure. It's protecting somebody. You guys, this isn't my original thought, but if you ever wonder why something is the way it is, the answer is always money.
Yeah.
Always money.
We have to have a serious discussion about next week.
Okay.
You know what next week is?
What?
Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah. I have a very serious thing I want to talk about, which is there's a letter in the alphabet that it just occurred to me that we don't need it.
First, are we going to do a show from the State Fair?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm too busy for that kind of thing.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
I hate people who say I'm too busy, but I'm too busy.
Where do you realize that this show is the only show on Hubbard Broadcasting in the Twin Cities, both on the air radio and on podcasting, that is not at the State Fair?
Yeah, that'll happen.
You are my hero. I worship at your feet. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. I can't even begin to tell you how happy that makes me.
It's not going to make me very popular to all my bosses, but whatever.
What about the employees? She's got a show. How come she's not out there?
Well, too bad. I'm the boss. Get over it.
Well, we got to go. What do you got? What is this?
Okay, here's the thing. Honestly, I didn't even think about this, but I was on the road driving like last week, and I saw somebody they had the name of their business was on the back of their truck, and let's just say that I'm making this up, but let's just say that their business was called Acorn, and instead of Acorn spelled the way you think it is, it was spelled Akorn.
Yeah.
And that wasn't what it was, but it was like that. And I was looking at it, and it was the first time in my life that I was like, why do we even have the letter C? C can be that K sound, or it can be like celery, like an S.
Yeah.
But in both cases, the K sound is accomplished with a K.
Right.
The S sound is accomplished by an S.
An S.
What other sound is there with a C that you need it for? You don't need it for conscious. You could use an SH.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You don't need it for, I can't think of any other use for C. So as I'm driving, I thought, God, Amy, you are so smart. No one in the world has ever realized this. So I got to work and I was like, I think I'm going to be rich or something.
Yeah.
So I Googled it.
Of course. And?
Everyone knows this. It's not a secret.
All of my $1 million ideas have all
Not
been...
a secret at all.
Yeah.
No, I wrote, thinking I was really smart, I wrote, so why do we even have the letter C? Expecting 0 results.
Yeah.
Like no one in the world's ever thought of this. And then I said, why do we have the letter C? Because why? We don't need it, right? So let me give you the answer from Reddit, okay? And it'll give you a headache and then we'll be done with this. The Romans got their alphabet from the Greeks. The Greeks got their alphabet through the Etruscans. The Etruscans borrowed the alphabet from the Greeks again.
What?
And they borrowed 3 different signs for the K sound since they only had what they call voiceless stops. I don't know what that means. C, originally from the Greek capital letter gamma, was used. The Romans took the alphabet. They eventually eliminated K and used C everywhere, but then C came back. And K came back.
Our alphabet is
It's kind of an
inbred.
accident. It's an accident. It was like melded together and we just kept it for no reason. C literally has no meaningful function. But have you ever thought of that before?
This is what you think about.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
What I think about when I read old texts from the 1800s is there's always an F where an S should be.
Isn't that weird?
And how does F, the f sound, go to s sound?
Well, and why in Spain is Z, which is Z, pronounced th, Barth, or C it's Barcelona.
Yeah.
Barcelona.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just know, like, Chris Reavers is our producer. His name starts CHRIS. First of all, why do we need the H in that name? I don't know. That's dumb. But secondly, why can't your name just be KRIS?
Well, there is.
Fix it, Chris.
Well, and the problem with Chris is you can do it KRIS or CHRIS, and then it's a boy and a girl name.
Right. Well, it's evolved to that. But
Yeah.
we never needed this. And why CH? Why?
Chris?
I guess I don't have a proper response to
Well,
that.
find
I
one.
just went with what my parents gave me. But there are notable ones. Well, what's his name? Real estate mogul. That's how Chris Lindahl spells
you're
it
right.
KRIS.
You're right.
Chris Christopherson
Yeah,
spells it KRIS.
you're right. But
Oh,
you know,
you're-
you understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
100%.
C has no, it's redundant.
It's out of place.
Yeah, it's redundant. And I'm going to start.
Know your role, letter C.
Yeah, right. Get back in your place, letter C.
This is why you should be on social media, because this could be a
I could have
movement on
thousands
social.
of comments
This
on
would have
just that
turned
alone.
into a political commentary
Totally.
within about 9 seconds.
You know what
Yeah,
you are?
totally.
You know what you are? A liberal who hates the letter C. You know what else you are? A right winger who hates the letter C.
Yeah.
We all hate you. Go away.
What if
What did C ever do to you?
what if it turns out to be nonpartisan? Maybe this is what could actually bring
Maybe
us
this
closer
unites
together.
us.
Yeah.
We all get together. And you know what's so funny though? Seriously, I really thought that was my original idea.
Yeah.
I was convinced for 10 minutes driving in, like, how did I stumble upon the thing that no one's ever thought about?
I've had those moments, Amy, where I've actually written a note to myself
yourself
so
in the
I
middle
don't
of the night?
forget. Yeah.
Right.
And then you're so excited when you go to the
Yep.
computer, and then
Yep.
it's such a letdown.
Which I have another analogy for. One time I did a gummy that was not for vitamins.
Yeah. I
And
understand.
it whacked me so hard. that I was having an anxiety attack. And I was laying in bed, and this is what I thought. I don't know why. I remember thinking, I hate this. I hate this. I'm having a heart attack. I'm having an anxiety attack. I don't know what's going on. Why did I do this? I hate it. And the only thing I could think to do was search through my bedroom for a piece of paper and a pen, of which there wasn't one, but clearly I couldn't even think to go down the hall. I wanted a piece of paper so I could write on it, "Don't ever do this again." That's all I wanted to write. "Don't ever do this again."
I wonder how much that's happening now across the country with the legalization.
Oh, totally.
Where people
A
with
bunch of
no
newbies.
experience whatsoever.
Yeah, a bunch of newbies don't know what they're doing. And I thought I had to write that down on paper to remember it.
Yeah.
If I don't find paper, I'll do this again, and I don't want to do this again. Don't do it again. There, it's on my nightstand.
We could do a whole show about that.
Let's talk about that next time.
Yeah. And don't look for us at the state fair. We won't be there. Thank you for listening. And thanks to Charlene for joining us today. That was fascinating.
Thank you, Charlene.